Shalom, everyone. This is Shamir, and we're back together again. And this week we're going to discuss the Mishkan, HaMishkan. Usually that's translated into tabernacle in English, but it's really not a good translation. So this lecture is actually going to be focused on learning some of the terms that we've read about for the last few weeks in the Torah portion concerning the construction of the Mishkan, and a more appropriate translation or understanding would be the dwelling place or living place. There is a reason for that, but we're not going to get into that right now, but this is a better translation. Okay, so I'll move forward to our next slide. Okay, so then we have our little map. I always like to try to have a map so we can just see where we were and where we are now. So this is where the children of Israel, they went out from, right, in Mitzrayim, Egypt. Let's see here. Oops, there we go. And then they actually lived here in Eretz Goshen. Of course, here we have the Yam Suf, and then now they find themselves in Midbar Sinai. And so this is where they're constructing the Mishkan, and then this is going to be their destination eventually, Canaan, the land of Canaan, and so forth. Here we have the Yaor. Here we have the land of the Philistine, or Philistines, say. So just to give us a general idea of where everybody is. Right. So here we have Aron HaKaporet. So Aron usually is translated as ark. And so I don't agree with that either, because you say Noah's ark. There are actually two different words. So the word for Noah's vessel is a teva, and then here we have Aron. So two different words, even though you see Aron HaKaporet, so it's the cabinet or of atonement, basically, that we have. Aron denotes a type of box. In modern Hebrew, Aron is like a cabinet or a closet. In Genesis 50:26, see it's a coffin, or it could be a coffer. HaKaporet literally means performance of reconciliation or atonement, functioning in the ritual of atonement. And we see that in Shemot or Exodus 25:17. Kippurim, Yom Kippur, has the same root consonants, right? Kaf, Pe, Resh. We see that in HaKaporet. The verbal form kafar predominantly refers to the covering of sin and reconciliation with Yahweh, or Yud-He, Vav-He, or whatever pronunciation you want to use. Okay, we have a Shulchan Lechem Panim. Okay, so it's made of Zahav Tahor. Zahav is gold, Tahor is pure, so pure gold. Like the Aron, the Shulchan was too sacred to be touched directly, thus the carrying pole on the sides, or we say bad in Hebrew, or badim for the plural. The vessels or kelim for the table include ke'ara. Ke'ara is a bowl or a dish. Kaf, which is a spoon, presumably used for incense. Kashva, which is dippers to catch liquid, and menakit, rinsers to pour liquid. Lechem panim, so bread of, you can say bread of the presence. There are cakes deposited before Yahweh's face. Lifnei Yahweh, panim is faces, or it can be before. Lifnei can also convey the idea of presence or self. So before Yahweh's face, before his presence. Lechem panim, bread of presence, is one understanding of this phrase. Hamenoah, hatehorah, pure lamps. So menorah also is the candlesticks, and hatehorah, pure, just like we saw zahav, tahor, pure gold. So in Hebrew we have masculine and feminine. So menorah is feminine, so we have to use a feminine form of tahor, is tahorah. It is suggested that there is perhaps a discrepancy because the menorah is described as being made with an unalloyed gold or soft gold with no support, though it may have been made with a harder alloy that was not 24 karat gold. The shorish or root of menorah is nun vav resh. We have ner, which is a candle. So you can see all the similarities between the words menorah, nur, and ner, which means the verbal form means fire or burn or shine. And then we have zahav mikshe, as describing how these candlesticks are going to be made with hammered gold. Zahav, again, gold mikshe is the hammering. These are hammered gold and not gold plated. Mizbeach. Mizbeach, it's the altar, from the word zavach, which means to slaughter or he slaughtered. Zavach, the general meaning is to sacrifice, and the speculation is that Mizbeach originally meant slaughter block. The actual sacrifice is called a zevach. So again, you see the close proximity of all the words, a nominal form, zevach, the verbal form, zavach, and then we have mizbeach. Keronot, or horns, right? In Psalm 118:27, Isru Chag ba'avotim, bind the Chag, or festival sacrifice, ad karnot hamizbeach, up to the altar horns. This may suggest that the meat might have been tied down. One function of the keronot, or horns, was to contain fuel and meat while not restricting airflow. These horned altars function similar to Assyrian bench altars and resemble Syro-Palestinian horn altars as well. And horn altars were common in Hellenistic Egypt, or Mitzrayim. I remember this is like a really abbreviated lecture, so there's really myriads to say, but I just tried to contain the most useful information that I thought would be helpful, and then you guys can go and do your own research and find out more. Religious purposes for the Mizbeach, or Keronot Mizbeach, the horns of the altar include being anointed for sin offering with pure animal blood. A fugitive may also grasp the horns to obtain temporary asylum. We see that in 1 Kings 150. Va'adoniyahu yareh mipnei Shlomo. So I think you say Adonijah feared before Solomon, Vayakom, and he rose, Vayelech, and he went, Vayechazek, and he grasped the Karnot HaMizbeach, on the horns of the altar. The altar, or here we have, right, Nechoshet, which is bronze. It's the least valuable material. The altar, or Nechoshet, of Nechoshet, or bronze, stands in the plaza, a place of lesser sanctity than that of the Mishkan proper. And you can see that in Exodus or Shemot 38:30. Accordingly, is made of Nechoshet, lesser material, with gold being the top material. This is contrasted with Mizbach HaZahav, or the golden altar of Ketoret, incense. Ketoret is incense, situated within the Mishkan. And you can see, so when you're reading through like the materials used for the Mishkan, you see that gold, silver, and then copper or bronze. And even the materials for the cloth listed in order of importance for the most part. And this also happens with people. Normally we see Moshe, Aharon, and then Rachel and Leah. So there's a reason why certain names come first, because it's an order of importance, or etc. Kli, or the utensils of the Mizbeach. We have a seer, which is a pot used for conveying ashes outside the camp. Deshen, for de-ashing. The verbal form for this word is dashan, to remove fat or fat ashes. Ya'an, shovels. Mizrach, bowls used for collecting blood to splash or throw against the Mizbeach. And the verbal form zarak, which means to sprinkle blood on the altar or scatter ashes. So this kind of brings to mind, when Shaul or Paul talks about being sprinkled with blood, he's definitely trying to bring you back to this cultic idea of when Moshe Zarak, or he sprinkled the blood on the people. So when Shaul or Paul is talking about these things, he's definitely, I always call it temple talk, Mishkan talk, because these are the things he's referring to. So, mazleg, which is a fork used to manipulate meat. One thing to understand is that Hebrew is not a language that's on its own, because it is connected to other Semitic languages, Assyrian, Akkadian, Aramaic. So in Akkadian, we have mazlagu, which is similar to mazleg. Machta, bucket for carrying coals and ashes. Michbar, lattice work. A metal screen or reshit, what we call a screen, that is installed halfway up the altar height. Kadkov HaMizbeach, or the edge or rim of the Mizbeach. This is considered to be a peculiar word because of its form morphologically. It is related to various words with their root or shorish, kufrish, kuf, pattern referring to circular objects such as kikar, which is a flat or round object. We have a lot of words in Hebrew, sometimes difficult to define them because they only appear a couple of times, or they might not appear in other Semitic languages. So we rely on context exclusive, or very much. With Hebrew, everything is context related. You can't really take a word and then say this is what it means in all contexts, because it's not true. And then we have bad, again, carrying poles, which you see on the sides here of the altar, the bronze altar. Okay. And nevuv luchot is a hollow plank. The Mizbeach is constructed of wooden planks with a hollow center. And that is it. Very short. Hopefully you'll all get something out of this and maybe continue your studies. And if anyone would like to have these slides, you can just contact me. You can go to my link tree page or send me an email or whatever, and I will send them to you. That's all for today. And as we say often in Israel, yalla, bye, Shavua Tov to everybody. And that is it. Bye-bye.